sorry, I didn't hear you come in.
Oh, that's right. How are you, my gorgeous? Oh, nice to see you. Another day, another podcast.
I love how often you're at my house.
I know, me too. I practically live here now.
Babe, just move in.
Oh,
You might as well.
I am. How are you?
I'm feeling a bit nervous.
About the podcast or about the fact we're about to go to Ibiza?
I'm actually feeling pretty good about the podcast because I feel like we're becoming pros now.
Agreed.
Yeah, so obviously we're like recording a travel ep, but we are actually about to go on our first trip away in like so long.
Well, our first girls' trip.
Our first girls' trip
Since
without
being-
the kids.
Yeah, since being mums. So you're feeling nervous. Why are you feeling
I'm
nervous?
just quite nervous to like leave the girls, like how much I'm going to miss them.
Right.
You know, I really want to have a break, but it's just that feeling of like, oh, it's so hard to leave them, and I'll after about 12 hours, I think I'll start to really just want
Want to get a flight home?
Yeah.
I feel the total opposite. I cannot wait. I feel like I'm ready for some freedom. But actually, Scarlett's a year. So I think I can
Okay.
taste the freedom now. You're still in it. You're still in the
Yeah,
thick
it's
of
still
it.
in the kind of quite young baby phase.
Yeah. So anyway, we shall see.
But we're like all mums going, you know, so at least we'll all like get it.
Yeah, I think we're all going to have, I think none of us have really like drunk.
Like, it's going to be like mums gone wild.
Yeah, for 4 years. We've all been like back to back
Been
pregnant.
through lockdown, all had like young children.
Yeah.
Oh God, the
Yeah.
wheels could properly come off, babe.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see. But anyway, so today, travel ep. Can't wait to get into it.
Oh my God, we've got some really good travel stories.
Yeah, we do.
Traveling with kids. I mean, there's so many different like ways to look at it.
I know. So I can't wait to hear yours.
Should we just get in? And
Yeah,
get
let's do
going?
it. All right, gorgeous.
Okay, so today it is a summer holiday special, and we thought as it's summer holiday season, it was imperative that we do a travelling with kids special episode.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about all our most embarrassing and mortifying travel moments with kids, of which there are a lot. We've also got some travel hacks, which we hope you'll find interesting. And of course, Mumlemmas. Can't be a show without a Mumlemma.
Exactly, and we're going to be trialling something new at the end of the show. We've written postcards to our 20s, and we're going to be reading them out loud, and you do not want to miss these.
So I think we're going to kick off with our worst travel stories. I mean, I know you've got quite a few, Mills. Don't know if they're going to involve bodily fluids.
I mean, I think anyone with kids who's, you know, left the house or like gone anywhere, maybe, you know, an hour or more from where they live has probably got a bad travel story.
I think every parent has a bad travel
every
stories.
parent.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope it doesn't involve shitting yourself or throwing up, but
Oh my
you
God,
never
can
know.
we not reference that in every episode? It's just never
Of course
going
we have to.
It's never going to leave me alone.
It will never leave you.
Okay.
So, what is your worst travel story?
Okay, so my worst travel story, I was having to think about this because I've definitely got a couple. I think going back to the first time we ever went abroad with Sienna, she was 3 months old.
Yeah.
And she was born in lockdown in May, like the first lockdown. And this was in July. We went away for my birthday. And so it was my first birthday since becoming a mum. And I was just so desperate to travel. You know, I hadn't travelled much during my pregnancy because I felt like just didn't feel up to it. And then we were in lockdown. And I knew travelling, like, you know, with a baby was going to be a very different experience. But until you do it, you just don't know. And I definitely had these like romantic ideas of what it was going to be like. So the way I really got it wrong, I have to say, is that I just got so excited about going. I didn't properly do my research. And like what I've learned now is that you really need to like put your research into where you're going. Is it child friendly?
Very true. Yeah.
And we went to Santorini.
Ooh,
And our reason for going-
Santorini! That
Hear
is a
me
bad
out.
child place.
We love Greece. Like, it's a special place for us. We like go most summers. We've got loads of amazing memories there. I didn't do my research. What I didn't realise till we arrived is that the hotel's actually built into the rock face.
Oh, wow.
So to get to your room, there's no lift. You have to go up and down these like really steep stone steps.
Climb up the cliff, basically.
Yeah, basically like scale a cliff. So can you like imagine like doing like arriving, like the view was incredible, and like don't get me wrong, I am like grateful we went. It was like beautiful, and we made some amazing family
But
memories.
exhausting.
But it was quite stressful because it wasn't very family friendly. Literally, it's hard to get around. Like we had a buggy with us, and it like, you know, you could fold it up and carry it. And it was it was one of our mama's and papa's ones, but this is before they'd brought out their Aero, which was like their amazing travel buggy. So this was like the year before that came out. And it was a lot of going up and down the steps. When you've got a baby, you're taking them to the beach, you're taking them anywhere, you've got to bring a lot of stuff with you.
How old was Sienna?
3 months old.
Oh wow.
And I was still breastfeeding, and it was very hot, and I just hadn't properly thought about it. And you're really tied to, like we felt quite tied to the room, and it, like, meal times were tricky. She wasn't in a proper nap routine, so we didn't really know when she was going to sleep. So if she was asleep, we were like, oh, we might as well just stay in the room now because she's asleep.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of room service. And then the few times we tried eating out, she'd be like asleep in the buggy. We'd be like perfect, you know. I'd maybe like wear her in the front pack. She'd fall asleep. Then we'd have the buggy with us, set it up next to a table. She'd be asleep, order our food, having a glass of wine, wonderful. And then the moment the food came, you'd hear the baby be like, no, please, no. And she'd just start crying. So like every meal was pretty much spent like holding her, like trying to breastfeed, like in public, like whilst eating. And then like rushing the food down to like get back before she had another meltdown. And yeah, it was like just hot, sticky, breastfeeding, sweaty.
Hot, sticky mess.
We took her in the sea. We did go to the beach and like got like a kind of big cabana. So there was lots of shade and just hung out there, and took her in the sea for the first time. And, you know, moments like that were really special.
Yeah.
But it was stressful. I remember on my birthday actually crying because it was like the first time it was like my birthday was just accepting that it's just so not about me anymore. And, you know, I couldn't just do what I wanted. Like we were completely a slave to the baby.
I always think that about traveling. It's like, it's basically looking after your kid, but just in a different destination, isn't it?
Yeah, like the first time I'd got back from a trip and been really relieved to get home. And I was like, and then a friend said to me, she was like, babe, that's just parent. That's like,
that's parent life.
That's parent life. That's what it's like to be a parent. You get back from a trip and you're like so grateful to be in your own home again.
Yeah,
so it's
this
is
true.
Such a new feeling.
Yeah.
Normally you're like, oh, I just miss being away. And like you get back and you're like, oh, thank God I'm home.
I feel like my worst one was in Ibiza this summer.
Did you take someone with you, or did you?
Yeah, we had a childminder with us. And anyway, so every night we would go out for dinner, and we'd kind of, you know, walk down this gorgeous promenade in Ibiza, and we'd like, you know, look around and we'd see all these kids there. Like,
yeah,
European
you always do
kids.
that. Like, yeah, like kids who were at dinner with their parents at like 9 p.m.
Yeah, so it was like 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And, you know, there were these kids like, you know, Spanish kids like on the beach, like looking like they just stepped out of a like Coquetta Kids advert, you know, like white dresses, like pristine, tousled hair, like white, pristine, you know, and they'd like run in for a little bite of calamari and like, you know, like a bite of, you know, sunflower seed bread or whatever. And then they'd like run off and just giggle together on the beach. And we were kind of looking at this every night being like, this is the dream. Like, this is obviously what, you know, being in Ibiza is all about.
Yeah, and you're like, you know, you're away from home, like try something new.
Yeah, like we'd never done that before, and we'd never been to Ibiza with kids before, so we just had no, you know, we'd never seen it in action. We'd never seen the kids, you know, and Anyway, it was our last night, and I said to Johnny, like, you know, our kids are very British. They, you know, have a bath at 5.
Oh, yes,
you know, have dinner at 5, bath at 5:30, like bed 6:37. Very British.
Yeah, like same with my kids.
And so anyway, on our last night, I said to my husband, like, I'd really like to do this. I'd love to
have
live
this family experience.
Have this family experience.
Make some memories.
Yeah, and he was like, absolutely no way. It will end in disaster. There's no way we're doing this. And I was like, I want to have the 4-year-old eating calamari dream. That is what I want.
Yeah,
I want this to happen. I'm going to have it. Anyway, so that's what we did. So on our last night, we took them both out. And we were kind of strolling down the promenade, and my child must have been the only child in this whole place that saw a bouncy castle. I didn't even know there was I didn't spot it before. Anyway, so he like beelines for this bouncy castle. So we stood by this bouncy castle for the whole night. He wouldn't get off. No other kids were on it. They were all, you know, being fabulous over there, and we were just like stuck in this dingy corner. You just
want to have dinner.
Yeah, just want to have dinner. Anyway, so like 7:30 rolls by, and this is when they obviously usually both go to sleep. So as soon as it clicks, they both start screaming. They're both starving.
Because it's like they're overtired.
They're overtired. Anyway, so, we're kind of looking around and all these kids still like, playing fabulously. And we've got these like screaming children like wanting to eat.
And you do really feel like people are like looking at you.
Yeah. Anyway, so there are all these gorgeous restaurants that we kind of earmarked before for our last night to maybe, like
special last dinner.
Special last dinner. Anyway, obviously it was such a nightmare. You know what happens when you're in that like stress zone when your kids are screaming.
Yeah, so you get stressed and like they can feel that you're stressed and like you can feel the pressure of other people looking at you being like, who are those people with the screaming kids?
Like poor them. So anyway, so we like grab the kids, like throw them into like the first restaurant we find, which is obviously like the worst restaurant in the whole place.
Yeah, with like pictures of the food and you're just like, I'm so desperate.
Yeah, pictures all over the menu and you're like, just chips. So anyway, so they're like eating chips, screaming. Anyway, so we eventually, after all of this, we had to like just bundle everyone like in buggies, bundle them in the car and get the hell out of there.
And you and Johnny had like the least chilled evening ever.
Yeah, we fought like the whole way back.
You probably were like, we'll never forget it. But...
Yeah, he was like, I told you this was going to happen. Always listen to me. Like, why do you try and deviate out of like, our wonderful last night
works.
That could have been? And anyways, that was I learned my lesson actually. I was like, we're not European. And
I just think lunch out with the kids.
Lunch out with the kids.
An early lunch. That's what I like 12 o'clock lunch. And then they go and have their lunch nap.
Yeah. I also had actually the same trip. So I came back a little dishevelled from this trip. And I'll tell you why. Because it was the first trip with 2 kids. And we have very busy lifestyles. And we just wanted like a real chill holiday.
Chill, yeah.
So we booked an Airbnb. And we wanted it in the north of the
like
island.
A villa.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so it was like a villa in like a top of a mountain. So it was stunning. You could see like, it was like, you see all this amazing landscape and you literally could hear a pin drop.
But was it kid friendly?
Wasn't kid friendly at all, but
perfect.
But also when we got there in the day, it was like really fab. It was like really lovely. We like, it was really relaxed. You could literally hear a pin drop, and it was actually owned by a writer, so she'd go there to write her books and to really get some silence. And so we were like, wow, this is really amazing. Like, take a deep breath and relax. Yeah. And anyway, so there was a housekeeper there and she was showing us around all the rooms. She was like, this is the main room, lovely. This is the, for your oldest kid, lovely. This is the spare room. And then she got to the baby room. She was like, this is the baby room. And I was like, what's that? And she was like, oh, it's a panic button. And I was like, why is there a panic button here? And she was like, oh, because you're in the middle of nowhere and, you never know, like, what may happen. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what do you mean?
Oh, and just put the fear in you.
Yeah. So anyway, this kind of really beautiful villa suddenly, like when the sun went down, it was suddenly like terrifying.
Because you're in the middle of nowhere.
Like there was no neighbours, like nothing.
That would give me anxiety.
Around. And I was going through this stage. I don't know if you ever had this stage, but like this kind of anxious stage at the beginning, like my youngest was, I think, 4 months.
Yeah.
And
you're in high protection
mode. Anyway, so for the whole holiday.
I don't think that ever stops, to be honest, when you've had kids.
But it's really heightened then, isn't it? And so I basically had this like extremely bizarre experience every night.
Could you just not sleep?
I just would like go from one kid's room to the other, and like would tiptoe through, like checking outside, like literally insane. And so when the holiday finished, I was like, I hadn't slept for the whole week. I was like, I'm absolutely exhausted.
Oh,
so this very like, beautiful, serene holiday quickly came bizarre. So yes, that was also
the last time I went to Ibiza was actually just before I got pregnant for the first time. But we stayed in a villa with friends who had a kid, and I thought there was like a slightly weird vibe. Like, I can't explain where it was. We were in a rental villa.
Yeah.
And the day after I left, they were all still there. Like, other friends joined them. They were burgled in the middle of the night.
No.
And it was quite in the middle of nowhere. It's like the middle of this forest. And they were there, they were all asleep in bed, and like they had their baby, everything. They were luckily fine, but like they took like possessions. They didn't like, no one woke up, but they didn't get like, they realised in the morning, but obviously like so scary.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm telling you that, but I'm telling you because you've had the experience.
You told me this afterwards.
I wouldn't tell you that if you were like, I'm going next week to a villa in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
But it does happen, and it happens in lots of these popular holiday destinations, whether it's like south of France or Ibiza. It's like notorious they have a big problem with it.
Yeah, and I think like again,
it makes
like
me now think about where I would stay going back with kids. I'd want
Yeah.
to stay somewhere that had a bit of security, or like in a gated community or something. I think.
And I think like what we were saying before, like before you have kids, you just don't think about any of these things. You
Yeah.
don't worry, you don't care. And I think then, as soon as you have kids, you are responsible, right? It's like a huge responsibility. You're taking small humans that can't look after themselves to a different place, a different part of the world, and it's your responsibility to make sure that everything's, you're the adult. So it definitely makes holidays different, doesn't it?
They are really different, but I really think that if you get it right, like the experiences you have, like as a family, and the memories you make are so special.
Yeah.
But I think what we're going to go into next is really going to help, because I think what I want to do with this episode, and for our lovely listeners, is who might be planning a trip in the future and wondering how to do it and how to actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think we've both probably got some hacks up our sleeves of things that have helped make trips easier.
Definitely.
And things that we've now, after our experiences, things that we now know, like things we would and definitely wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it for our listeners to make it super clear and easy, things to do and not do when they're booking a holiday with kids. Okay, so let's start with the beginning, booking a holiday. I've got some this or that questions.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, hotel or Airbnb?
I would have to say a hotel, ideally, just because then you don't have to make all your own food, and it's just everything is there for you, and a cleaner comes every morning, and it's just super easy and slick.
I agree. I think hotel services, but like with your own kind of accommodation, like family style accommodation, so that you've got like more than one bedroom.
Yes.
If you've got like multiple kids.
Nice.
And like essentially like a little kitchen area.
Yeah.
I agree. Airbnb, you've also got to bring like everything in.
Yeah, exactly. It's just very different
A
holiday,
hotel will
isn't
have
it?
cots. A hotel, a hotel's going to have things like high chairs.
Yeah.
All of that. An Airbnb might not have that.
Yeah,
So you have to bring it all with you. Okay. All inclusive or self catering?
Definitely on the same level as that. I'd say all inclusive, 100%, especially with young kids. What would you say?
I think so too, because often you have maybe slightly fussy eaters. And I just, if you've got multiple kids, and then, what about when you start wanting to travel and they want to bring a friend and all of that kind of thing, and it's like literally 10 quid for like, one drink, like, I think it can seriously add up.
Totally.
I think all-inclusive. I actually haven't done all-inclusive yet. And I'm trying to think what we're doing this summer. No, I've decided we're not doing all-inclusive. We haven't done all-inclusive yet, but I feel like by like next summer, we'll definitely do it.
Be worth its weight in gold. Yeah, for sure.
Driving or train or plane?
Oh, I would have always said plane, but I think now, having had a few bad plane experiences, I think maybe driving.
Really? Would you drive like somewhere in Europe?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I wouldn't do the driving, but I think so. It would have to be my husband doing the driving, but so I could just sit there leisurely. But I think that would be. I just think the kids are more comfortable, aren't they, in their own space, and there's no like waiting around.
I've had quite bad car experiences, so for me, I'd have to say plane or train, because train is quite good because they can get up from their seats, but like a bit like on a flight, like they can get up, stretch their legs, that kind of thing. But then it is also quite stressful because on a train there's no seat belts, right?
Yes.
So but on the plane there are.
Yeah.
True. So like they kind of have to stay in their seats a little bit more.
Yes, true. Interesting. All hard.
I'm like whatever gets you there quickest.
Yeah. Agreed.
That, honestly, I'm like whatever gets you there the quickest.
Agreed.
Because whether you do any of those, like car, plane or train, there'll be a nightmare situation at some point. So if it's over quickly, then you're just there, and then you can start enjoying a holiday.
Yes. Nice.
That's I would say. Okay. And pool or sea?
I think so when we went on holiday last in the summer, so my oldest is now 4, and he loved the sea. Like, he loved the pool, but I think the sea was like a whole different experience. Yeah, he just wanted to be in it from, I mean, you obviously have to keep an eye on them more, so it's like slightly more stressful for you, but I just think for their experience, you know, he was in it literally from the second, you know, he woke up, he wanted to be in it till the sun went down. And like, he still talks about it now. He just literally loved the experience of it. I think it's something you just can't get in the UK, really, to the same extent, you know, where it's warm, unless it's freezing. Yeah. So like, and lots of people take their kids swimming in the UK, but not the sea vibe. So it feels like a real special holiday activity for a kid, for me. What about you?
So far from when we have been abroad with kids, we haven't had the ideal sea situation.
Yeah.
When we went to Greece last summer, the side of the island we were on in Crete, the wind meant that there was a lovely breeze that was actually ideal for like not being too hot, even though we were there in like July, but it meant that there was quite big waves. So she loved the pool way more, and like, you know, had like little floats and stuff, and she just found that like really fun.
We had a guest on before, Catherine Ormrod, and she kind of gave us a big takeaway, didn't she, from it, that actually as soon as
this was a really good,
which is really good
hack.
Yeah.
Teach your kids to swim, because then when you go on holiday, they can be in the pool and you can sit on the side.
Yeah,
and it will go and go like an hour. I'm talking an hour. I can read a book. Literally,
Okay, our next episode is all about travel, so
there we go.
That is
going to be a
Teach your
good
kids
one.
to swim. But even like that, seeing like Reagan now, he's 4 and he can swim a width. Like on his
So you
own,
just go,
you know.
do another one, I'll watch you.
Literally, and you know, you put the water wings on them and he will splash around on and off a lilo.
And then they're exhausted and they sleep.
They are, and like they seem to only want like people that are going to splash around with them. So it doesn't really call for his mum, which is great. Dad, will you come and do that? Mum,
seriously boring.
Okay, you've got it figured out.
Exactly.
Okay.
So anyway, that story that
is
came
a
to
great
me.
one. Thank you. Anything that gives Mama some time to drink some rosé.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
What about temperature, climate? Like, what's your must-have on a holiday?
Okay, so I would say warm climate, but not like crazy heat, because I just think with kids it's like uncomfortable, and you just don't want to be getting like, oh, you don't, especially with, I found with a young baby, you're really concerned about them getting too hot, because it is, you know, genuinely very dangerous for especially like a young baby who can't regulate their temperature to get too hot.
Yeah.
So you've got to think about things like, if you're going somewhere warm, have you got air conditioning? Is there going to be lots of like, when you're, you know, wherever you want to spend your day, when you're outside, is there like lots of shade? Is there going to be a bit of a breeze?
So when you book a holiday, you know, you've obviously spoken about your Santorini disaster.
Yes.
Now do you think like it's got to have pram access? You know,
yeah,
you've got to
I definitely
be able to like get around.
Do think about it. And we now have our fab Aero pushchair from Mamas and Papas, which they bought out, and it can fit in hand luggage, so it's really easy when you're traveling on the plane. And it's super lightweight. You can actually you can fold it up really easily, and it has a strap, so you can wear it as a backpack or you can wear it over your shoulder.
Okay, nice.
So that makes traveling with kids much easier. But yeah, you do need to make sure that you're somewhere where it's not just like loads of pebbles everywhere. And like, you know, I love going somewhere where there's like a nice promenade. You can like go for a nice walk along like the seafront. But because you can put it over your shoulder, if there are like steps or something, it's not like disaster, because you can, as long as someone can hold one of the children, and you can have like a front pack on, and then you can like have it over your shoulder. That's really handy.
Okay, nice.
But I think also like having, if it depends on the ages, but Aurelia will be in the front pack probably a lot still this summer, which I'm going to make the most of, because I also love that stage, and she'll be, you know, grown out of it pretty soon after that, I think.
Yeah. What about like kid-friendly restaurants? Is that something that you think about? You know,
I think definitely you want to make, what drives me crazy, if you go to a restaurant, they don't have a kids menu, so you're having to order like, you know, a €20 or plus main course for your child that's not very kid friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends where you go. A lot of places do have kids menus, so it's just making sure that they do, and you can get like kiddie pizza, kiddie pasta, whatever it is, like, and it's a child portion, and and they've got loads of like kind of child friendly things that are like favorites, so they're gonna like love to have on holiday as well.
Yeah, I feel like on holiday kids just eat chips and bread, and that's okay. Do you know what I mean?
You might think, oh, they're gonna try loads of like new food,
and they're just
it's
like,
basically pizza, pasta, chips,
beige and more
ice
beige.
cream.
Yeah, and it's fine.
It's fine.
You know, they survive.
Yeah, they survive.
They come back happier for it.
Try and get them to try a couple of new things. We'll see how that goes with Sienna this summer. I'm not sure she's going to be eating like calamari, but
I know, calamari and olives. So
but
it's
we'll be weaning Aurelia. So actually, I
pureed
thought we're thinking it'd be good for like her first tastes. You know, to get her to try stuff. And the next one is taking the car seat or not. I don't know about your experience of this. When we go away in June, we're actually planning on taking 2 car seats with us, and we're hiring a car. And just from what other people have said, if you try to like hire the car seats, you can often have a bit of a nightmare where the car seats aren't very safe. They're not the right size. They're just basically not what you would in your eyes like view as like a safe car seat, and you don't want that like worry that you're going to get there and they're not going to have something appropriate for your child, and like you don't want to do a journey without your child in a car seat.
Yeah.
So you can get a car seat bag. We've got one that fits 2 car seats in, so you're allowed excess luggage when you've got kids.
Yeah.
So when you go to check in, you just have to take it to like a different desk. You go to like oversized baggage.
Yeah.
And it's free, and you can pop your car seats in. And actually a really good hack is it in the car seat bags you can just get them on like Amazon. You can shove loads of extra stuff in there as well.
Ooh, clever.
So you know how like nappies take up so much room in your suitcase? Just in the car seat bag, just shove in like loads of nappies, do it all up, and it kind of like pads the car seats a bit. Yeah, so that's a good hack I found.
So I've never taken a car seat on holiday, and it's literally because I like hate all the stuff. You know,
it is a lot when you're trying to like get it all on the trolley and it's like falling off. And it's really heavy,
when you're like trying to like fold the pram up and you're like dripping in sweat, you're trying to like put everything in.
It is a bit of extra faff. We've taken them with us when we've gone.
Yeah. So I've never done it, and I've always hired them. I've always like hired them in with the car seat, with the hire rental car. Yeah. And it's always worked for us. It's always a bit of a faff because they're like, they don't help you, you know, like it's always a bit of a
how
weird
it attaches
seatbelt and how it attaches and a weird seatbelt and stuff, and they just kind of say, no, over to you now, bye, see you later. So it's always like a bit of a like dripping in sweat moment trying to work it out.
One thing I've heard, which I actually want to look into, is that some car seats you can actually put on the plane seat. Right. So you can use the car seat during the flight to like keep your child like secure in the seat and like staying, I guess, in the seat as well.
Interesting.
Have you like heard of that?
No,
I think it's only certain seats you can do it with.
Right, that is good.
So maybe for anyone looking into traveling with kids and wanting to bring a car seat, like have a look whether you can actually bring it on the plane.
Yes, exactly.
So that might help you out.
Yeah, love that. So you've spoken a little bit about it, but would you always, you know, have a family room where you can like have your kids like in your room but in a separate section, or would you just have 2 rooms? I guess they're too little for that.
They're too little, so I think like a room like with shared living space, ideally with some kind of kitchenette, and then separate bedrooms but all connected by one like communal living space. I guess that's most ideal. Or they're just not old enough to have like interconnecting rooms yet. Like when they're older, and obviously they can share a room.
Yeah, so we stayed with a friend last week in the Cotswolds, and Orlando and Scarlett shared a room for the first time. And
how did it go?
Yeah, it was actually amazing.
I want the girls to start sharing from like this summer, so I'm gonna see how it goes.
But Scarlett's only one, so she doesn't obviously talk, but I could hear them not chatting because she doesn't talk, but he would be chatting to her. They were communicating.
She was like so he was like talking to her, and she was making noises.
Yeah, and she would like throw stuff out of the cot, like I could hear it, and was like outside the room laughing. She would like throw stuff out, he would laugh.
But it's really like bonding for them.
Yeah, and obviously they, you know, didn't go to sleep for hours, and then they'd wake up super
do they
early.
Sleep?
Like not as well, but also I just thought it was really sweet. They don't really interact like that at all in the day, but there was something about like quite fun for them, I think, about sharing a room that, you know, kind of brought them closer in a way.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, so I actually think, you know, the next holiday we definitely do that again.
Otherwise it's a bit of a nightmare if you've got to get like a room per child, like it's expensive as well.
Yeah,
like, it's just not realistic.
Not really doable.
And what about optimum travel times? What have you found?
So
do you think good travel during nap time if you can?
I think if you're doing a long flight, it's always worth doing a night flight, isn't it? Because then
I haven't actually done it, babe. I haven't done a long haul flight with the kids. I've just like I've just in the day. Yeah, I've only gone like as far as Greece.
Yeah. So yeah, I think
But
then
I've tried to book the flight time around. Now we've got 2, it's a bit different, but around the lunch nap or the morning.
Yeah.
Like, I think traveling, I found in the morning is the best in terms of they've slept through the night in their own bed at home, so they're in quite a good mood and they're less likely to have a meltdown if you travel like kind of even like first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Like on a kind of breakfast time flight.
I think people always panic as well about time zones, and I know even like in the UK when the clocks go back by an hour, like I'm on lots of like mum groups or nursery groups and stuff, and people always freak out, you know, when it's their first time having a clock change, and they're like, shall I do like
I don't think
15
I don't
minutes?
think I never do that. I'm like, oh, it's just not that bad.
Yeah, like work backwards every day, like put them to bed 15 minutes earlier. And I think even like with really long you know, like with jet lag and stuff like that, like kids just are really robust. I think you just put them to bed at their normal time and they just like get it. You know, I don't think you need to have like, you know, this big faff around it. You know, they just kind of crack on, don't they? I've
just been too afraid of the like long journey and then the jet lag, like me struggling with jet lag. So I'm quite sensitive to like change in time zone and like lack of sleep, and I always find it quite a big adjustment. So the thought of doing that with kids that maybe aren't sleeping well, I'm just not quite ready for it yet, babe.
It's no joke.
No. So for our listeners, what would be your top hack when traveling with kids?
My top hack that I have definitely learnt along the way, and it's because I have seen other families do this, is bring a pair of headphones with you. So, you know, we would go out for dinners in the evening with our kids and we would see couples like, you know, having this great conversation, like drinking, laughing. And then we'd look over and their kid would be there with headphones on, watching like Frozen on a laptop.
Yeah.
And they were in their own little world, like, you know, having a great time. And it meant the parents could also have a great time. And I just thought that is a key to an amazing holiday, to also have your own time. So that would be my one hack. Headphones, like the big kind of soundbuster ones. What would be yours?
Well, I guess it's also screen related, but you know, before I had kids, I was like, they're not gonna, you know, they're just gonna read books and do colouring, and they're not gonna have an iPad till they're like much older, and you know, no screens. That went straight out the window pretty quickly. And for the journey, I try to limit screen time when we're actually away because there's so many other things to like entertain the child. But on the journey, screen and snacks all the way.
Absolutely.
And I would agree, like headphones mean that you don't have to listen to Peppa Pig out loud for the entire thing, which and nor does the rest of the people on the plane, the train, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're like, the whole car journey could be, you know, 5 hours of Peppa Pig. So yes to headphones, and yes to screen time.
Yeah. I think before I had kids, I don't know if you were the same, but I was like, no screens, no TV, no sugar, no dummies. You know, I was like all these things that I kind of like imagined.
Whatever works.
Yeah, now
Whatever
I'm like,
works.
TV.
Yeah.
Eat all the sugar.
But on the journey, for me, it's just, what keeps Sienna really calmly entertained and like happy to sit in her seat for a long time, maybe 3 or 4 hours, whether it's in the car, on the train, or on a plane.
Yeah.
And is the screen. And when she was a bit younger, she wouldn't be that into the show, and she wouldn't like get to concentrate for very long. It would maybe work for like 10-15 minutes, and then you'd be like, oh, what's the next thing? But she will now happily watch for quite a long time because she's obsessed. She gets really into it. She's obsessed with it. And then just constant snacks. And more, like, how many snacks should you bring?
A lot.
Way more than you think.
A lot.
Way more than you think. And also bring a change of clothes for you and the child.
Yes.
That's also
very
really
true.
Good one. Yeah, don't forget for you too, because it'll be typical
true.
the time you forget and you'll get like the baby or vomit all over your top, or, you know,
it's always the way,
whatever
isn't
it is. And one other hack I just thought of is getting a travel buggy.
Yes.
Like the Aero for mums and papas that you can fit in the overhead locker.
Yeah.
Which means you can actually take the buggy onto the plane with you, and you don't have to wait at the other end for them to deliver the buggy back to you, and you don't have to, you know, struggle all the way to the carousel of luggage, then wait for ages for it to come, and then what if the airline lose it?
Yeah.
All of this to think about.
Yeah, clever.
Or you typically end up waiting like 3 hours for it to like come out as the last thing on the like conveyor belt. So
yeah.
That's one to like help like save time, and also, you know, a tired toddler, you just put them in and off you go. In this part of the show, we thought we'd try something new and introduce letters to my 20s. But actually, because this is like a travel theme show, I feel like we should call it Postcards to our 20s.
Oh, I love that.
And, you know, it's just looking back to your, 20-something self, what would you say to yourself now? And this is, regarding kind of travel and being abroad.
Yeah. So I literally jotted something down just now. Do you want me to read it to you?
Yes, please.
So what would I say to myself in my 20s? I would just say, dance around in a bikini, take all the pics, drink all the mugs,
Yes.
eat all the food, have all the laughs,
yes,
jump in the ocean, feel the wind in your face, like just love yourself, because there'll never be a better time than right this second.
Dance on that table.
Dance on that table, baby. And like, these are the memories that you will replay in your mind forever.
And try to recreate.
And tell your
fail.
children about, this is the moment that you will forever remember. And also it's the moment where you'll always smile about, you'll always have those internal memories that will make you smile. And don't worry about a thing. Like, don't worry if you snog your best mate, if you throw up over the side of the boat, if someone hates you, like, seriously, don't worry about it, because you won't remember it, and it will have zero impact on your life. And like, worry eats the soul, and you don't need to kind of be doing that. Don't hear the criticism, only hear the praise. In 10 years' time, you'll look back and you'll wish you just hadn't given a shit about any of it. So none of us are getting out alive. So just be silly, be kind, be weird, say exactly what you want to say all of the time.
I love that, babe. Well written. I was going to kind of wing it.
I don't wing it. Well, I kind of wing mine too.
No, that was such good advice, babe. Mine is a bit more, I guess, beauty related.
Yes,
maybe
do it.
Looking back on, I'd even say my teens and 20s. Wear sunscreen. Literally.
Not olive oil.
Not like 0 factor oil or like literally, factor 2 oil. Looking at the sun damage I have now, and I'm like, having to have loads of like laser treatments and peels and micro needling to try to fix. Obviously some of it is a bit like hormone related due to having babies, but there's a lot of sun damage from my younger years lying in the sun all day, like rotating like a rotisserie chicken.
We all did it.
With literally little to no sun factor on. And now it literally makes me like shiver with like horror. Having like learned lots more about like skincare and how damaging the sun is to your skin, and also like dangerous. So now it's like, always wear sunscreen. I'm a Factor 50 gal now, and a hat, big sunnies. Yeah. I really have to try and keep like my chest out the sun. I go red so easily because of the skin is so damaged from like years of sun abuse.
Mine does that too, actually.
So I actually really have to like keep a little bit in the shade and like not get that area in the sun. So for me, it's like, now I'm like all about the fake tan before the trip. And what else would I say? Yeah, things like I definitely put like kind of bleach in my hair, and then like would go in the sun, like put like sun in, or like lemon juice, all of these things to try and just make my hair like go blonder in the sun, and basically like fry it
when it would go like orange,
and it would be like crispy. And doing things like just like swimming in the sea and then like lying in the sun, and your hair's literally, it's like got like salt in, then it's like you're lying in the sun, it's literally being like, it's like frying.
I remember when I was young, my mum put loads of lemon in my hair when I must have, well, not young, but like 13, when it really matters. She put so much lemon in that it was like this, like a ball on top of my head. And she was like, don't worry, darling, like we're not going to see anyone, it'll be totally fine. And I literally bumped into, when you have a crush when you're like 13, like randomly on holiday, and I was like, oh great, I literally look like the mask, like a pointy static hairdo.
And I remember I came back from travelling when I went on my gap year, and I don't think I've ever been as tanned or like as blonde in my life. I thought I looked great, but I literally was
that was the look then.
It was a very, very deep tan, and it was some very kind of like questionable yellow blonde hair after just like being in the sun so much. I look back now, I'm like, but yeah, I would just say exactly like, make the most of those opportunities. You'll never feel so free in your life or uninhibited. It's just as you get old, you've got more responsibilities, you've got more things, you get a family, and you'll never travel in the same way again.
Totally.
So go on the trip if you can. Go take the opportunities if you can. Obviously we've just had a super difficult time with lockdown, but if you're able to do it, go on the trip.
If you have an opportunity, seize it,
make the most of it. dance on the table, you know, wear in a string bikini.
Yeah.
Your boobs will never look so perky again.
Your bum will never look so perky ever again.
Yeah. And just, make those memories and just have fun.
Yeah, totally agreed. Love it.
Oh, I'm getting really excited to go away now
Me
with
too.
you, babe.
Me
to be
too.
recreating some
Travel,
of those moments,
holiday
just this
vibes.
time with loads of sun cream on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I think that this conversation has given me enough confidence to go away with the kids in about 2053.
Apparently it gets easier.
I really think it does.
Okay.
We're in the
Here's
thick of
hoping.
it right now, babe.
Yeah, we're in it together, that is for sure.
Sending lots of love, and until next time, guys, good luck with your life, love, and little ones. Also, we'd like to say a big thank you to our lovely producer, Laura Gallop of Feast Collective, and thank you also to Mamas and Papas for keeping us on the move, and finally to Basement Chats for creating the space where we can talk so freely.
Don't forget that we are just us. We are not experts, we're not doctors. We are just saying our most kind of raw, unedited, authentic thoughts. So if you do have any issues with anything that we've spoken about today, please do consult your GP. You know what, if you're listening to this sitting on a plane with two screaming kids next to you, we absolutely feel you. Remember guys, we really want to hear from you too. So if you've got a mumlemma that you'd like to talk about or you'd like us to help you with, DM us at Basement Chats or email us at mm@basementchats.com.
Absolutely. Don't forget to follow the show on your podcast app and share it with anyone else who might enjoy.